All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Travis Flaherty. I'm excited to be here with you. Welcome to our Team Legacy Google Hangout. We are very blessed this evening to be joined by Mr. Curtis Broom. For those of you that don't know Curtis, Curtis is a network marketing professional. He's been in the industry for about 25 years, and he's seen it all, done it all. He is currently the host over at GoPro. Right now, he's actually in Hong Kong, aren't you, Curtis?
I am.
He's
I
in
am.
Hong
Back
Kong.
some beautiful sunshine day.
It's morning time there, and Curtis, I know you will appreciate this. I started my day this morning. I got up, the call started coming in, and I was in my pajamas, and I am still in my pajamas. And it's 7 o'clock, and
this morning early and had a plan, and then network marketing took over, and you still have it shaved, you're still in your pajamas, and still making on.
Yeah, this is the benefits of being in a home-based business, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it looks like right here. So
yes, Travis is wearing his business clothes.
That's right. That's right. That's why it's chest up only. So no.
yeah. You know, Rob and I did one, and then we were done. He's wearing his nice little polo shirt. We're done. He finally says, "Okay, let me show you." And he shows like workout shorts and stuff. And I said, "Well, that's okay," because I was still wearing my pajamas at the time. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate you being with us here this evening. And, you know, I think one of the first things.
By the way, I'm sorry, I know we marketed Lisa. She was going to be here. We actually, because we're over here launching a project, and it was about 5 a.m. And you and I were communicating back and forth. Said, "Yep, yeah, okay, just want to make sure everything's still good. That's great." And then all of a sudden, the development group called back, said, "Uh-oh, we got another problem." So she ended up having to take point on it. It was a challenge, an issue that she had to deal with. So she was going until about 8:30 in the morning here, and so it's about 10 o'clock. So, you know, needless to say, I got the text, "Hey, how about if you take it instead?" Because I'm imploding. So all of those things can sometimes happen. So it's fun. So just, you know, I suppose I could change my name to Lisa Grossman Fill-In. Travis, are you there? Well, Travis, either I have a connection or you do. Okay, now there you go. Now I see you back.
I'm just sorry about that. Let me know if I lose you again. But no, I was just saying that I really, you know, I enjoy our conversations, and we always usually there's always some great content that comes out every time you're on these hangouts. So thank you for taking the time to be here. And you know, I was just wrapping up a call actually with I love what's happening within this team. You know, they call themselves the League of Legends, and you know, the point person for this particular team is Dr. Jason White, as you know, who recently just hit Emerald. Yep. And what Jason is doing is it's great leadership. He actually reached out to his team and he said, "Look, I know that, you know, we all can't be running all the time, but what I'm looking for right now are the people that want to be runners. I'm looking for the people that want to get to their next rank advancement. What I want to do is I want to put together this VIP team because I really want to know who that I should be talking to every day, who I should lock arms with." And so for those of you that really right now for you, over the next 30 days, it's a good time for you to run, let me know, knock on my door, you know, let me know so that I know where you're at. And then we got a call together with those individuals and talked about the daily method of operation. And
well, it's a brilliant way to go about it.
Yeah. And I wanted to just get you to share your thoughts on not everybody's ready to run all the time. And so how do we discern between who do a lot of times we want to try to start people can drive through this, but what's the best to know where we should ultimately, you know, that whole process of working with them? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I think in watching the posts in the group and just, you know, first of all, having met a lot of the leadership when the team was first coming together, and you've got a lot of new leadership, but being able to get to know them by watching the posts and getting a sense of the personalities and the feeling of you know, who the leadership is as it continues to evolve. I mean, obviously anchored by you and Summer and Rob and Tiffany, but as the diamonds, but everybody, all these people are moving up, and you're starting to now build, you know, replacements, if you will, in ours. The idea is we're in the leadership development business. That's what we do. We develop it within ourselves so that we're then capable of developing with others. The primary purpose of developing leadership within ourselves is solely for the purpose of being capable of developing others. Mm-hmm. this is a profession where your speed or your pace is yours to choose, but the focus, if you were just to step back and say, or if someone was to ask, you know, let's start really broad and then let's narrow it down until we're laser focused. But if you start with the broadest, however you might define it, would you like to be successful in a, you know, in a big way? Meaning, how people will define that is different, but you want to go big. At some point, you want to say, you want to be able to get to wherever you are, you're looking back saying, wow, I really went big. And if the answer to that is yes, whatever level, and how are you define that? You know, complete time freedom is not a different level of income as much as just total time freedom. Wow, I've gone big. So my $80,000 a year job, I've replaced it, so I'm not a multimillionaire, but I'm doing it in my pajamas all day, having a tremendous amount of fun, and I'm growing. Wow, I've gone big. Or whatever that may be. Understand that however we define daily method of operations, and we talk about, you know, prospecting processes, and we talk about hot market systems to get started, or conversations, not presentation, whatever that is, ultimately it's about I'm developing leadership ability, because the only way I go big is when I help others develop. So it's a choice. The key is, and we're all human beings. I mean, there in where if people want to look at someone who has gone big and they look at you in Summer as an example, you're in that position where you may be involved with your team away from, you know, Summer and the kids specifically in terms of today. My daily interaction with them was minimal compared to maybe last Saturday where we went out on the family picnic. But so my hours today were heavily involved in Team Legacy, but the reality is I didn't work an hour, because this is pure and complete and total emotional, spiritual, financial as well, but emotional and spiritual and personal fulfillment. So yeah, I've been going so fast, having complete and total personal fulfillment, that I haven't even had time to shave or shower, but I didn't work today because I gave up working a long time ago. If that's the go big part, then what happens is, because if you think back to where you began, and everybody has heard your story, and if not, they should plug into all the places that you shared your story with the team and recorded it. But at one time, you guys had, you know, you'd gone from being employed, you'd gone into business on your own. But when you began your career, you weren't 80 hours a week, complete, pure fulfillment and enjoyment, no work. You had to do it. You had much less time because I had other commitments and I was transitioning in my life, and it wasn't just like I could go. So for the majority of people, that's the case. When you run and how you run is going to be different first. But the way to, if you say one day, I want to go big, then the reality is you're going to have go big time. But how you choose to do that is different. And the power of leadership, what Jason's doing that is brilliant, is saying, I am at a period where I'm going to run. And so what I want to do is, it's not the last time you're going to have me. It's not the only time. I don't want anybody who this is not your time to, I don't want you to feel as if you're less than or you're valued less. You're not. You are equally valued as a part of the team, but now's not necessarily your moment. But for those who have said, for this 30 days, or as you know, Eric talks sometimes about 90-day bursts of real intensity, but whatever it is, it's a 2-week burst, it's a 10-day burst. But for this period of time, I'm really going flat out. Jason has said, in my mind, I wish to lead a 30-day intensive burst. And I'd like to know those of you who'd like to come with me at this moment, and the timing is right. And here's why that's important. People only do what they see others doing, or you lead by leading, and leaders lead in action, not inaction. So Jason said, I'm going to run hard. If none of you call me and want to run with me, that's fine. I'm going to be running flat out, bringing new members into the team who may wish to run with me, because I'm choosing to run. I'm not asking what I choose. I'm asked what I choose. Let's go. Well, that's ultimately what network marketing is. It's about, and what's great from a leadership standpoint, and everybody, even a brand new person who has a team of 3 or 4 people, that's a smaller version, if you will, but it's the identical opportunity that Jason presents for you. You know, he's leading by example. I'm leading in action, and I'm showing you how to get where you're going in action. So if I just got 3 or 4 people, you can reach out to them and say, hey, listen, here's what I've decided to do. I have, you know, a coach and mentor on my team. His name is Dr. Jason White. He's an emerald and accelerating quickly through the growth of the team. Now, I know there's only 3 or 4 of us, but he's running and I wish to run with him. Do you want to come run with us? And then if not, then part of your running with Jason this month, you've still chosen, is then you're going to spend that time as he is running and leading. There are multiple things he will have available that you can plug into. Now, that's on top of the things that Team Legacy has that you can plug into, because Travis and Summer, they're not running any slower. Rob and Tiffany, they're not running any slower. Everybody in leadership is moving, and there may be other emerging leaders between you and Jason if you're on that part of the team. It doesn't mean that others aren't. It means he has said, here's what I'm choosing to do, and these are the things above and beyond, even beyond my normal monthly schedule, that I'm going to do, and more one-on-one time, more individual connection, if that's what it takes, to be able to support you as you want to run with me. Understand, everyone who called him is going to have a totally different calendar and agenda, because they have different obligation responsibilities. You know, Dr. Jason White has a practice that he then runs around and runs with. Your time frames may be different, but he's just saying, who has this mindset? And then we will find the times where we blend and come together, and then where we are running maybe individually, because you're at this commitment time when I'm free, and then I'm at my commitment time when you're free, but here are the times we are jointly able to now directly communicate, that kind of thing. That's all network marketing is. It is giving people information, allowing them to choose. That's how we prospect. We let them choose to be a consumer of the product, let them choose to be a member of the team. And that's how we lead. We lead by leading and giving those who wish the choice to follow at any pace they wish. And, you know, it's kind of funny. I was doing a coaching call a few weeks ago with someone, and they were talking about their mental shift. They're now a blue diamond in their company. And it's a pretty significant level in that company. When they began their career, they listened to all the stories of all of this time freedom, all this, you know, leadership excellence. And they said, I honestly really didn't believe it. And they're an interesting example. They've been with one company in their career. They're only 3.5 years in the profession, and they've taken it through, but they had no belief. When they started, they were in a situation they needed something, because they still had to do what they were doing. They were looking for a supplement, a way to supplement things, and they were looking for a supplement solution, but certainly not something to transition to, because they'd said, we could see clearly, it made sense to us. We saw the products, we saw the basic program, we saw the customer, you know, mindset program, retail profit, and we said, okay, we believe that we could make an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month, maybe after a year, year and a half, and we see that as something that's viable. All these huge numbers and stuff, we just don't even believe it. And they didn't see themselves even capable of doing it. As they got to that $1,500 to $2,000 a month with a few team members and a little bit of team override, some customers, they began to say, well, you know, okay, maybe 4,000, you know, maybe 5. And then at about that year and a half mark, as it started to approach that, they said, well, okay, you know, this 50, 80, this is stupid. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. I don't know. I think most of these people are faking it, but that's okay. Let's see. And then they started to approach 7, 8. And then all of a sudden, that's when they broke through the 10 and they saw other people popping. So what was their method of operation on day one? Their choice. But think about it. At the exact same moment, it was the same company, the same products, the same opportunity, the same comp plan, the same environment, the same factors, the same external factors and the same internal factors. Their mindset was such that they saw it as something you do very part-time, which is fine, just to build a few customers, that's great. To build a small cash flow, that's fine. To supplement, because that's all they wanted to do. It was a process to where today they have 80 hours a week of non-work, total personal fulfillment and gratification, complete lifestyle freedom, total financial independence, with a growing, thriving, internationally expanding team, with no limitation. They truly, and they said as they started finally, they Emerald, as they started approaching Diamond, they said for their first time, they truly believed that there was no limit. And so it was, I guess that's what it is that's when they finally realized, hang on a second, we are worthy. It is possible, because it's no longer, see, they kept limiting themselves. I don't believe I am capable of making that kind of income. When, well, of course you aren't. None of us are. It suddenly switched and they said, I believe I'm capable of helping that many people. When that happened, then when they finally believed they could enable and help that many people, they started watching and the check started going, because it was no longer about what they could do. It was about who they could help. Well, that's what it is. And so for each, there's a choice. And the thing about it is, the magic of the way Jason leads the way you do is we're not leaving those who aren't choosing to run this month behind. This may not be your month, because we run all the time. We run differently. And maybe this is a really super intense period of time because we've got this incentive trip, or we've got this special promotion, or we're driving for this. But if people will take a look, the leadership of this team is always running. And the question is, when would they like to run with? Because the leadership is in a position, the reason is the leadership is in a position to always run, because different people on the team have their moment at different times. As the top leadership, and there's the reason those individuals got to Blue Diamond is because they finally realized it wasn't about them, it was about everyone else. And when they went into more of a mindset of, we are truly full-time servants, that's what we do. And it's so fun, we're full-time servants, but we're serving different people at different times because we're full-time servant mode. You're not there yet. And so that's, I think, what's interesting to see in what Jason's doing. He's allowing people to choose, because to say, okay, gang, and get the whole team on the phone if you could and say, okay, we're running. Well, that's not realistic. It's not reasonable. Well, I can't do that. I just had a death in the family. I've got to go help a family member, a surviving family member, transition an entire state, somehow get their life together. I mean, this isn't the time for me. So that's why I love what he said. I don't want to make anyone feel as if you're less than. I'm asking for those who, for this moment in time, this brief window, you want to do more than. I'm here. I'm here to serve. You can't outrun me. You can't outwork me. You can't undersleep me, because I will sleep as little as is necessary and run as hard and as fast as necessary and do everything. Bottom line, if there's anybody there showing up who needs it, I'll be there, and I'll be there beyond. That's what's magical about Team Legacy, is that, and the various members of Team Legacy and the various components of it, that you're getting such good leadership throughout, that it enables the mass of the team, with who are younger, newer, and not in those same positions yet, to say, if now is your leadership growth time, if now is your time of intense growth, here we go. It's my time of making sure that you are never held back by me. And that's I think that's what it is. If you really look at it, we've talked about this so many times, it's really about a family. I mean, Travis, take a look at your family, you and Summer and all the kids. But you've got kids from broadly different age ranges. Mm-hmm. There are some who have stepped into a parental role at times, but they're not the parent, you guys are. But there are times when, for that moment, that hour, that afternoon, whatever it is, they are the parent of the other siblings. They're older, they've gotten to a level in age maturity. We're not going to turn, we're not disappearing for a month and you run, you can't even drive. That's not the point. The point is you're in your development as your growth as a person, you're becoming a young adult, which means there are those almost parental adult moments that you can have and share, because it's part of that growth process. We have been parenting you from day one, and you've grown with us. We've instilled values and concepts and responsibility and beliefs and things. And you now have a level of skill that there are things that you can do that you couldn't do, and you've got opportunities to experience what that's like. That's what network marketing is. There, and you have to be fed and diapered and stuff, but you just don't know what you're doing. There are times where you're a child, but you're at least able to dress yourself and get your own bowl of cereal and breakfast in the morning. There are times when you're growing up as a young adult, and now you've got more responsibility. And there's times when you're a full-grown adult, and there's times when you finally become the parent and that type of thing. But there are different times where your children are able to fully engage and actually take that adult role, and times where they're just not there yet. And there are others at different parts of the path who they're not in a position to be in that role in any capacity. So the whole family is expanding, and there are more of you who can then nurture that youngest. It's no longer just you and somewhere on your own. It's that process. That's network marketing. But as a parent, you're looking and watching the growth and development of your children, and you're seeing when it's time to take some of them through that next step towards that adulthood, next adult development lesson and process. But it's only if they're willing to, and it's only if they accept that, and it's only if they're willing to, put in the effort to achieve that level of skill and success mentally, and then if they choose to be that which they're capable of and step up at that moment, say, yes, I will be the adult this afternoon, so you and Summer can go off and do that project or whatever. That's fine. I've got it. That's really their choice. Are they going to throw the tantrum about it? That's network marketing. Network marketing is where leaders are full-time leading and full-time serving, but they are full-time observing and creating opportunities for people to identify themselves. Jason could say, this project or this 30 days, he said, here's who I am choosing to be above and beyond who I always am, but I'm actually I'm going all out. I'm going big as I possibly can. Because you can't go. This is like the sprint. Sprinters cannot sprint relentlessly. They sprint in bursts. Now it's different. Distance running. See, leaders are distance runners. They never stop. But even a distance runner, if they could choose to sprint that next 100 meters. Now, but they can't sprint it for 26 miles. It's not a possibility. So, Jason, who is a marathoner, which is what network marketing is, it's leadership. He is marathoning with relentless commitment. Now's his sprint moment. He said, I've got enough that I can sprint. So for 30 days, I'm rocking it. And so who wants to come sprint with me? That it's your time. I think it's a brilliant way to lead. And because it gives, and then he won't be able, because he can't sprint for 60, he can't sprint for 90, he can't sprint for 120, or there is some limit. He could, in another couple of months, say, okay, I got a 60-day run, but just due to timing and things. But at this moment, he said, here's my sprint time. I'm going to sprint. I'm leading. I'm sprinting. Because if nobody had showed up on the call, he was going to sprint. He was just going to sprint, finding a whole new group of people who might be sprinters. And that's okay, because it's about letting them choose. But he said, I'm going to sprint, and I won't sprint by myself. So if it's not you, I'll go find who I'm running with. But I'm going to be running. If you wish to come, then I'll sprint with you. And that's what I love about it. I mean, it's a great way to lead. And it's how people learn. They're going to get to watch how leaders lead.
You talk about our teams essentially in some ways are kind of like your children that you're nurturing. And a lot of times children make mistakes, and it's painful to watch them make mistakes. And sometimes they have to go through those mistakes, and that's part of that is the learning process. Some of the mistakes that I see right now that are going on in our organization and they kind of, it goes in, it's interesting. It goes in almost waves or rhythms where you get everybody in tune and everybody's focused in and they're doing the things they're supposed to, launching their hot market or they're launching their new people with a hot market system. And as a result of that, we got a lot of people that are having a positive product experience, and then we're following up with those people, and we're either educating them by putting them in front of Rise of the Entrepreneur, or B, phone with calls, and we're following the system, and all of a sudden new people come to the business, being allow people into the business, and then everything stops and slows down because the fundamental base is happening. So we start getting people just slow down again, wondering why we hit a stall. And I was thinking about that as you were talking about just nurturing and children, and I guess my question to you is, part of my conversation on this call we just had was, getting to the rank of ruby or emerald or diamond. It's all about mastering the fundamentals, the basics. 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, and launching your people the right way, hot market system, getting them onto the phone with 3-way calls. But what are your thoughts about these rhythms and ultimately the fundamentals being dropped at a certain level, and how can we avoid that, or just what are your thoughts on that? Because I know you've had to see that in your business.
Well, of course, I was that in my business. I think hopefully the best thing we can do as leaders is we remember back to where we started, if possible, and we remember, ooh, that was me. Ooh, that was me. Oh, yeah, that was me too.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Let's not be so arrogant from the leadership standpoint to point at everybody else. How do you keep all those little ones from doing that? Well, that's because they're the children still. I mean,
yeah.
Watch it how easily children, they get in those rhythms. Man, they're doing their homework every night and the chores every day. And the family contributions, called chores, but the family contributions, they're doing them every day. And I mean, they're cranking it, they're crushing it. And then it's like, you want to look at your son or daughter and say, what is going on? Did somebody just unplug a part of the brain there? I mean, nothing's working. And what's happening? Yeah. Well, here's what it is within teams. I think it has to do simply with the youthfulness of a team and its natural maturing process. The reality is, when you come to individuals, you'll have that ebb and flow will naturally occur. And there's probably, and I don't know that it's a rank, you could probably identify it, but there will probably become a level of achievement that what happens is that individual starts being more consistent. And what's ironic is that achieving that level would have happened for them so much faster had they devoted themselves to a little more consistency in the beginning. What's funny is we talk about, the reason I like to use the family example is that's exactly what it is. I mean, it really is that. Brand new networkers, network marketers, even if they're 63 years old and they've just enrolled for the first time, they're absolute newborn babes. And what happens is we sit back, and we who have been in here, been doing this for so long, we know what we know. It's like when you watch your children, you just look at them and you realize, they don't believe they can do it, and they can. But that doesn't make any difference. My knowing you can is irrelevant, because you're only going to, when either you suddenly just take that absolute blind leap, shattering fear and exploding at it because you just finally said, oh, the heck with it, I'm going to splat or go. And you go, or they just have to get to that point, or they're defeated by that fear. The same thing happens in network marketing. What's happening in a team when you go, it's just individually everybody has these biorhythms, but there's usually that point where, and it'll depend on the company, but there's that rank point, and it's usually about the 3rd or 4th rank. Usually the second one's a little bit soon. The third one, you're just getting there. The first one is the one that is the building block. So we always build gigantic organizations by focusing on that first fundamental step. Square and get to Ruby. I mean, here's the first step we want to take you through. This is your initial process, but really it's a little beyond that. Squaring is fundamental. That's step number 1. Getting to those first ranks or whatever those next steps are. But there's that, usually it's that 3rd or 4th rank advancement, because the first one's usually a base foundation, and that's where you identify those who are going to do something from those who won't do anything no matter what. And that's just life. They got excited for a moment, enrolled, and they never really did anything. But those who do the hot market system, because it works 100% of the time, 100% of the people who do it 100% the way it's laid out to be done. So you're looking to see if somebody can actually follow see, these are all tests. They're also leadership. You're trying to identify where you should spend your time. And so someone who engages at least in that first step, because it's so just absolute no-brainer, simple and just so basic, you're really doing it not to have them do. You want to see if I give you a basic instruction, are you capable, or you even have the desire to follow it? Because you can only lead those who are willing to be led. But people will still go through those ebb and flows. That first step is a simple step of test, so anybody should get there. That doesn't really prove that there's any endurance. that second step, that second rank, or the, that rank. The third one is possibly where you're starting to see, okay, I think they're still in that kind of ebb and flowy, but they're still going. I mean, they're still moving through the process. Usually by that fourth rank advancement, that's a no-brainer. That's where finally, okay, that's where you have less ebb and flow. When you've got a large young team, but it's young, so you've got some really key principal leadership starting to pop up, but you have such a significant amount of the team that is still in that initial stage, you'll have that ebb and flow. What happens is, as teams grow and develop, you have it. The reason it's less obvious is because the team has gotten to a state and there is a size and dynamic within the whole team that when someone's ebbing, someone else is flowing. And so you don't see it as much because there is always that thing, and the team as a whole starts. In fact, if you look at the growth curves where they talk about it, things are going along and all of a sudden they hockey stick up. That's what causes that. This is where there's the ebbs and flows are almost in synergy. It's not like they're almost in unison. It's like, you're sitting having a conversation with somebody who starts to yawn and you start to yawn, and before you picked up the phone, you weren't tired. It just, those things happen. Those ebb and flows kind of naturally happen. That still shows a youthfulness in the team. But as you're starting to pop folks up, and you're getting more and more people who are starting to pop up through that fourth rank and fifth and beyond, and they're starting to really rise, when more of that happens, it's because they are finding more and more people who are flowing more often than they're ebbing. And when that happens, and as the team gets large enough, all of a sudden you always have that ebb and flow, because that's human nature. But you'll find that at the newer children levels, where you've got those new emerging team members, those newborn team members who are doing network marketing for the first time. They've got to go through that, and you're doing that process of they're going through the process of choosing or not choosing, and you're identifying who is choosing so you can run with them. That's what it is. So it's a natural thing. In fact, the key is looking at those fourth ranks and higher, or third ranks and higher, and are we starting, if you tracked it, if you really went back and said, okay, how many rank 3 or rank 4s did we have here, here, here? As more of those are starting to pop up, you will start to notice the ebbs don't become as obvious. And it's not that they aren't there. It's just they're now, it's doing this. Someone's going, and so the whole team is starting to move. And so I think that's just a natural part of the process. When you're, think about it, if you had you and 3 people on your team, I mean, it's really easy to see when, if it's you and 3,000, and then if it's you and 30,000, and if it's you and 300,000, that same dynamic is there, because that dynamic happens really more at a newer level, where people are adjusting, trying to figure out where their balance point is, what their real desires are. We all talk a good game, but the question is, your actions are speaking so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. And so are your actions indicating that this is your time? And it's okay if your actions are indicating this isn't your time. But I worry about those who say, this is my time, this is my time, this is my time, and they don't do one thing that is indicative that this is your time. Whereas the other people who are so quiet, but they're just charging through ranks because they don't have time to speak, they're moving too fast. And so I think that's just a natural part of the process. And that's where the example of what Jason is doing is a great thing, because what he's saying is, hey, who's in flow right now, and you want to literally just crank the faucet wide open, let's go. We're not going to leave those of you behind. Just now may not be your time to choose to come run with us, so that's okay. Because we'll do, because he'll do this many times. I mean, he'll do this often and often and often, because that's who he is. He is a servant leader, and he leads in action. And so I think that's the way to view it. Is if you still see that, that's the good thing. The question is, go back and watch. And at the top levels, watch. If you're popping. If we had 10 new rank 3s last month, we had 12 this month, we had 15 this month, we had 17, the team is in perfectly healthy shape, because that's what's happening. And as you build that depth of leadership, because sometimes people need that leadership a little closer to them to be inspired by it. And so as you build that, as that leadership structure is built, you don't build it, as it builds itself through your leadership and willing to serve and their choice to come join it. As that gets bigger and bigger, the team, all of a sudden, you won't see any ebb and flow, because overall the team will appear and flow. Though down here, it'll have that. You always have that, because people are people. By the way, you're still on mute, but it does look good to watch your mouth move while it's very quiet.
There we go. You know what's funny is while we were talking, my light went out above me. So check out my lighting spotlight. This is my spotlight on my. Listen, you improvise with what you have, right?
I'm telling you, see, that's leadership. Lights go out, not a problem. Got an iPhone. Yeah, my battery's gonna be gone because I'm flashlighting myself.
Exactly. But, well, anyhow, listen, Curtis, we always appreciate you being on here with us, and I want to just invite those of you that are watching this evening. You know, we've probably got just a couple of minutes left here. Are there any questions that are out there that you would like to ask? What are you experiencing right business? Where are you at in flow? What is your biggest challenge? And we've got the Q&A enabled here. If you'd like to type something in, we would love to hear from you. We'd love to give you an opportunity to be able to ask Curtis directly any question that you would like about the business. And go ahead and feel free to do so right now. You know, Curtis, I think that, you know, for us, there's a lot of excitement in what's happening as the team because of a lot of the changes that are coming ultimately with the ability to be able to do business internationally and all of those things. And so right now, I think everybody's really fired up, really excited. I think that everybody is looking almost like what's happening in our business as somewhat of a pre-launch to kind of the newer changes that are coming with the whole Jeunesse, Mint powered by Jeunesse situation. And so as far as across the board with the team, we just came out of the best month that we've ever had. We had more rank advancements than we've ever had. We've got a lot of the new and exciting things that are coming. And for me, what I see is kind of a convergence of forces that's coming together that I've rarely witnessed in the network marketing industry. And so for me, now is the time to run. For me, right now is the time to be able to take advantage of this critical mass that's getting ready that we're entering into here. And I firmly believe, you know, that the people that are running right now and capture this unique window of opportunity in the industry really create a serious opportunity for themselves. And so that's kind of that's just where the lay of the land is right now. Everybody's really fired up and excited.
Well, and now's a great time. I mean, it is, you know, it was kind of interesting. During that initial announcement, there was a bit of hesitation. Fortunately, you had such strong leadership in the team that lasted, you know, a matter of just hours, you know, maybe 72 hours when people suddenly could get their teeth into it. We could talk about it because as we learned of it, our first reaction is, wow. You know, because we've been working with you guys for a long time, and we love the team legacy and the Mint team and the Mint concept and the movement. I mean, it's a great thing to watch, a great thing to see, and it's great for the profession. And our first instinctive reaction was, holy cow, what a great thing for all the mentors. But change is always an unusual thing. And the question is, how do you adapt to it? How do you adopt it? How do you adapt to it? And then what do you do with it? But you're right. I mean, it's a great moment because now's a great time for Mint. First of all, Mint really has decided to make a very public display of what our profession really is. And it's about thinking constantly about the value you can bring others. Now, that's the way to succeed in our profession. But sometimes the message is about the product or about our compensation model, you know, financial success, when the real thing is you get a huge group of people who become totally committed to serving and trying to give value to others. That's when all those other things happen. The product is what allows the financial side to exist, because that creates the capital flow, people making purchase of product of great value. The reward system is a recognition of those who are really serving the most. And so when you now have this Mint powered by Jeunesse, because of that global strength, it takes a company that is so youthful like Mint and puts you into a position that really is exceptional. The thing that I think will be interesting to watch over the next year is, particularly in this team, it will be fun to watch the continued acceleration, because here's what I think is going to happen. Because of the complete commitment of leadership, or at least key components of leadership, I think what you're going to see, and something you and I talked about, because you had said, this wasn't long ago, it was about a month ago, 2 months ago, and you said, because there are so many people in the profession who are out there in circumstances that are frustrating, and there are so many people in this profession out there in circumstances that are magnificent, but it's it's the nature of all beasts. Whole companies going through ebb and flow. But you said, I've spoken to people and and they seem really interested in Mint, but some of these other quote unquote higher level leaders, I don't have a lot of them. I said, that's okay, because they're still trying to figure it out. They're still looking at it. See, you guys on the inside, you already know what you have. It's the same thing. It's like looking at a child who doesn't believe they can, and you already know they can. You already know what you have at Mint, and you know it beyond conscious thought. It is truly in your DNA. It's in the very fiber of who you are. It's in the fiber of Summer and Rob and Tiffany and then all the guys. I mean, David and Tony, and just you go through it, and Craig and Jay and Jason. I mean, Susan, everybody. The list is immeasurable. Who there is no thought anymore. There's an absolute certainty. Absolute certainty creates a magnetic pull, because the world is completely and entirely uncertain. And so you guys had absolute certainty. Then there was an announcement out of the blue that created momentary uncertainty, when suddenly the clarity of what it could be, and it's only because just due to experience, the only reason, because when we heard about it like everybody else, the reason our reaction was what it was is we are so intimately aware of and involved with, and the Jeunesse folks, we've been good friends with folks there for decades. And so the minute we just heard this, knowing who, the founders, knowing who they are, and then knowing this, what was happening, and understanding the financial implication as well as the business implication, and knowing, well, they're obviously not going to radically do things that, we just suddenly realized, wow, the Mint folks have no idea how blessed they just got. So there was a moment of uncertainty, but the minute it became as clear to you as it was to us, and we all had this clarity together, what happened was your certainty became so much stronger that's what's happening. That's why you are now. Think about it. Just after all this wild stuff, you just came off your biggest month, your largest number of rank advancements, because you're getting close to that hockey stick, and it's starting to move. And the reason now is such an important time for those who choose to run, it's like tidal waves. There's now a trend, not a fad. There's a trend, and trends are inescapable. They're unstoppable. They're unavoidable. They are like tidal waves. You have no choice. You can either just, but the magic is, if you decide not to be intimidated by it, you just stand up on the board, and the momentum wave will carry you distances that are so much further than if it was just the little rolling ripples in the water where you'd have to work so hard to get all the way back to shore. And so where it is, and that we know, and we've seen it, and there's absolute certainty in this, is there is this momentum, there's this movement that is unavoidable and undeniable and unstoppable. And those who see it or are willing to just go in faith. The newer members of the team who say, I'm going to, the folks that didn't hop on that call at Jason, who then say, second thought, hang on a minute, I apologize. If you'll help, can I hop in 24 hours late? I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. I don't know what was going on, but hang on a minute, I just woke up. I want to hop in for this next 3 days. Right now's the time. Over the next 90 days, 120 days, there's just going to be such this movement that you don't have to be real good at it yet, and there's not a lot of right things you have to do. You just turn and get in flow with the direction, and all of a sudden it'll help. That's where you guys are. So you're going to see that, May 5th, we're going to talk about the fact you've just had your biggest month of rank advancements. June 15th, you'll say, in May we had our biggest month of rank advancements. You'll be heading into summer, and probably in July you'll still say, in June we had our biggest month of rank advancements. And those are the types of things that by the time you hit this September, where you hit that magic momentum, where from September through June, other than a couple of holiday periods, you've got this unbelievable run. Well, we're just in April. This is where you've got the rest of April, you've got May, and generally June. July and August is where sometimes people get spotty. They're getting in the vacations and getting kids ready for college or stuff or whatever. But you can build such momentum that you'll carry right through that without a hesitation. And when you hit September, it'll be, and there are truly people who right now, a year from now, will look around as if a bomb went off in the right way, going, wow, my life is so different. Because all they did was point and then just run with that wave, run with that momentum. And there will be others who stand there a year from now and don't see a big difference. And the only difference was they just didn't let, run with the shift. So, but that's okay. That's their choice. Maybe it wasn't their time. Maybe next year will be. But I think that's what you're going to see. That's why it's exciting to watch. It's going to be really fun. You guys are just going to be crushing it. We are.
Well, Mr. Curtis Broom, we appreciate you. David Green gives you a big shout out and says thank you. And Summer and I, of course, want to thank you.
I saw that. David's David, thanks for being who you are, dude. Just your posts are, great day lifters.
He's an outstanding individual, and you'll be seeing him at the NMP, and I'll be seeing you at the NMP here in a couple weeks. So we're really excited about that as well.
Yeah, I'm going to get to introduce you, and you and Summer get to share a lot of wisdom, so that'll be good. Good stuff.
I'm excited. Well, listen, as always, we appreciate you, your leadership, and everything that you're doing for us. And, as far as the team goes, everybody that's watching right now, it's just a matter of just majoring into minors. Just focus on the little things, getting people in, getting them to start, getting them squared. Keep focusing on launching people successfully, utilizing the hot market system to create the story, going back, following up with those people a week later after they've had a positive product experience, and then literally getting them connected to your upline. It's just share, show, connect. Just focus on the little things, doing that over and over and over and over and over and over again, and that's what's going to lead you into momentum. And with that, looking forward to hearing everybody on our Sunday night Why MYNT, Why Now call. Mr. Curtis Broom, the last word.
Brother. Absolutely. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. You guys take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.